Greetings, actives. Ryan Thompson and David Brown here. Welcome to the June Founders Call. We do this each and every month, and we'd like to talk about how the previous month went and what's happening this month. So if this is your first time joining us, welcome. David, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing great, Ryan. It's kind of cold and rainy here in Utah. We went from 100 degrees to 60 degrees overnight. But that's kind of how life is. You know, you have your ups, you have your downs, and you just motor on through. But it's kind of a fun time out here. A lot of things are unsettled, not just the weather. I think people have been unsettled for months now. And what's interesting about that, I guess, is that as with every crisis, there are opportunities and silver linings. I think people are reevaluating how they're spending their time, kind of getting reacquainted with their kids, with their spouses, and with others, and learning how to connect in different ways. And so it's been pretty exciting. And May was no exception to that, as you know. Actives had a wonderful May, which I think indicates that a lot of people really are taking seriously the fact that if they have extra time on their hands, because they're not as consumed in other activities as they otherwise might be, it might be a good opportunity to take advantage of that extra time, and especially learn about products that can increase your family's health, and also learn about opportunities that can add to your family's income. And a lot of people are taking advantage of that. I was particularly impressed by the number of 500 Club qualifiers that we had, people that within 90 days have enrolled 10 people or more. I think you'll probably talk a little bit more about that. Some people have taken the full 3 months. Some people did it a lot faster. But no matter what, it was great. That's a tremendous achievement. And we're seeing growth in every market, whether it be here in the United States, which has seen a really fast growth in recent months. We've got a great influx. It's really been interesting to see what is responsible for that growth. In my opinion, it's a combination of things. I think it's a combination of new people joining the company and sharing their excitement with others. I think it's people that have been with the company for a while and got reinvigorated and said, okay, I'm going to get back going again. And so I think it's been that combination, and that, of course, has spread throughout I think both English and Spanish speakers in the United States. Mexico is showing strong growth. And, you know, one thing I think I'd like to mention Peru and Mexico in particular, because I think many people, especially English speakers in the United States, may not understand how our distributors and customers in some of these other countries have to conduct business. Many of them don't have credit cards. And so it's a very normal part of their life to buy products from companies like ours by virtue of going to their bank and making a deposit in the bank for the amount of the purchase. Now, can you imagine doing that every single month and going to the bank and doing that? And then in the case of Peru, and I think to some degree Mexico, because of governmental restrictions in terms of hours and when men can go out and when women can go out, there's some pretty interesting regulations out there, having to stand in line at a bank for 3 and 4 hours to make a deposit, but actually valuing their involvement with actives, both in terms of getting the product and really feeling the need for those benefits in their lives, as well as building their business, really deciding, I think, that any sacrifice is worth it in order to build their business and to help their families. And it's very inspiring to me. And I hear stories like that, and every day I'm impressed with the diligence and the devotion and the quality of people that we have in all of our markets. The Japanese have been growing not quite the same rate. They're getting used to, like all of us, the idea of building from home. You know, the Japanese are very compartmentalized in their lives in many respects. They have their work, and then they have their home, and usually they never cross. And now when they're not able to go to their workspace and figuring out how to conduct their work in terms of a confined apartment that's usually pretty small, and it's, you know, if you've got kids and other things going around, it's not very easy to do that. And they're learning how to embrace Zoom technology and other technology in a way that they really hadn't utilized before. And so they, like all of us, are going to emerge from this pandemic with new ways of thinking and things that we thought weren't possible or weren't really that attractive to us, I think we're thinking, man, this is not so bad after all. And I think we can really do some interesting things that way. So from that standpoint, I think it's been a very great month. Enrollments were up, customer acquisition was up, and overall excitement was up. And actually, I think a great barometer of that are the number of meetings, the Zoom meetings, even the WhatsApp chats that I see. They seem to be going, I'm sure they're not quite 24/7, but they sure seem like it. And there's a lot of excitement out there. So that's my view right now in terms of what's going on. What do you think? What's your view of the world?
Sure. Well, I think it's very similar to yours, David. May was a great month for us. As you said, we were up double digit in all of our major markets. And that was really exciting because one never knows what's going to happen in a pandemic or in an economic crisis like the one that we're finding ourselves in. And one thing that we've been talking a lot about and that many of the distributor leaders are talking about is this inverse relationship between the national economy and the direct selling industry. And May, I think, was certainly a testament of that, where we saw lots of growth in our markets. A couple weeks ago, I had the opportunity to be on a Zoom call and recognize there were over 30 people who rank advanced from A4 all the way through A12, and that was incredibly exciting. So, that inverse relationship in terms of of what we see happening in the national economy and what happens in the direct selling industry, where it's essentially made up of independent contractors and entrepreneurs. Here at Actives, to be on a Zoom and go through over 30 PowerPoint slides and recognize people who are rank advancing at these mid-level and upper ranks in our company, nothing speaks louder than success, and numbers don't lie. And so that was really exciting. That just happened as we closed. I did that first week of this month, or it was like the first or second day of June. So that was exciting, very exciting. Another interesting and fun observation I made, and I know that you and I talked about this and talked about it with the team, is that we have these microcosms of success happening all over the place. And whether that's in Japan, whether that's in the United States, in Peru or Mexico, we look at new leaders and we look at people who are recommitting themselves to themselves, right? A friend of mine, a young lady who lives in northern Mexico, shared with me at the beginning of this year, 2020, some discouraging news about her team and about people that she once had that that had just kind of given up on themselves, but she wasn't willing to give up, and she doubled down, as it were. And the other day, about a week ago, she invited me to a Zoom, and I didn't know who was going to be on this Zoom. Her name is Paulina, by the way, and she introduced me to about 30 people on this call. And a smaller group of them had just rank advanced in May. She had several new A5s, A4s, a lot of A3s, a lot of A2s, but most of this team had just joined her within the previous weeks, if not 30 days, maybe 45 days. And she told me that really the secret of what she was doing now in finding a new team, rebuilding, creating new momentum, and really start beginning to see the rewards of her efforts, or the fruits of her efforts, was deciding to kind of not just punch her own weight, as it were, but to go look for people that were outside of her comfort zone. And so, she talked to business professionals. She talked to people who had been leaders in this industry before. She talked to healthcare providers and practitioners. And so she introduced me to some of them. One man who is a business owner, he owns multiple businesses. He just fell in love with our products. She said, I showed him the results. I showed him what we were doing at Actives to empower people, right? Not just to help them in terms of their wellness and caring for themselves and boosting their immune systems, but also empowering people to take control of their financial situation, of their personal economy. And that really motivated, that really inspired this man to take a look at us. He ended up joining her in her team and started to build. And he said, boy, my other businesses, are great. You know, a couple of them are suffering, a couple of them are doing well during this pandemic, but none of them are doing anything to really help people get back on their feet like I see Actives doing. His name is Israel. And so he joined and he talked to some friends and he talked to a woman named Gabriella. And Gabriella, just like Israel, is very successful in her own right in traditional business, really caught the vision for what we were doing for entrepreneurs and empowering people to take control of their personal economies during this time of crisis. And she ended up joining our company. Actually, she didn't join in May. She joined in April. But in May, she reached the rank of A7, which is an incredible landmark, or I should say benchmark for her to reach that in just 60-day period of time. And so I got to know her. She told me what she was doing, kind of her secret to success. And really, it was just a lot of fun for me, David, to have this Zoom with everybody and to meet 30 new members of the Actives team, who are mostly all living in this small town. It's called Saltillo, Mexico, outside of Monterrey, and really making a big difference, not just in sharing wellness and health with other people, but also how to really take charge and take control of your financial and your personal economy, which seems to be a message that's resonating with a lot of people. We have more and more guests each day as we have our presentations, both in English and in Spanish, and more people finally in June are figuring out how to work from home. It seems like it's kind of taken a while for people to shift gears, as you talked about, and now we're really seeing the results. May was a great month, and we're just starting June right now, and our numbers are way up. And so it seems like it's taken a few weeks for people to get their legs under themselves and figure out, gosh, how am I going to be disciplined? How am I going to have a daily plan of action? How am I going to have my time and with my kids outside my door or behind me in my Zooms? But people are where there's a will, there's a way, and we're definitely seeing that in Actives, and so it's exciting. I'm really looking forward to June. Maybe one other thing that I'll talk about here is, you talked about Peru and how incredible it is to see what people are doing in these distressed environments. In Peru, just, you mentioned that, but, literally our Actives distributors are waiting in line 4 hours to go in and make a bank deposit. That's how business is done in Peru largely. And so it is fascinating that some people, in other markets like the United States, struggle with other things. But I can tell you that no one here in the U.S. is having to wait in line for 4 hours to make, to purchase product, and like they are in Peru. And to see the market rebound, I think it was up over 40% this last month over month. And that was really a testament to the commitment of these entrepreneurs and Actives distributors who are with us. So I have very high hopes and high expectations for June and for the rest of the summer. I think this is going to be a very different summer, David, where typically you see a lot of vacationing go on, and who doesn't want to take a great vacation? Well, I think really people are going to be still at home and maybe starting to move out a little bit more. I know that you've got something that you're going to talk about here that we want to do in July, to help encourage people to maybe get out a little bit more without putting themselves too much at risk. But I think July and August are going to be great building months. I think, really beginning with June, great building months. The way I look at June, July, and August, it's a lot like having a rubber band and stretching it back. People that take summers off, right, and don't build and say, you know what, my family's going to go on vacation, we're going to do this. It's kind of like, not stretching that rubber band. But if you build during these months where a lot of the world takes time off, then getting to September, October, November, and then into the new year, it's tantamount to letting go of that rubber band and just seeing it fly. This is a great time to create potential growth, right? To really plant a lot of seeds and get that momentum that you need to carry you through those tougher seasons. Depending on how hard you build during June, July, and August will be the determining factor of what you do with your business in September, October, November, and then where your baseline is at the new year. So make sure that you're making plans, even daily plans, right? A monthly, a goal for the month, and reverse engineer that. What are you going to do each week? What are you going to do each day? The groups that we see right now that are really achieving their goals are the people that are doing that. They're doing just that. And I don't want to oversimplify it, but folks that are really struggling, as I talk to them and as we get involved in some of these boot camp sessions, the ones that are struggling aren't doing those things. So this is a time, it is a different world that we're all in. And I don't want to be overly cliche because it seems like everyone is saying that, talking about the new normal. But the new normal is you do have to find a way to be disciplined even at your own home. You know, a lot of us have had the practice to relax when we're at home or to attend to our family. Well, if you're not traveling to go out to your work, make sure that you are scheduling time, right, to really be productive in your home. And I think that that's the secret to many people's success that we're seeing right now in Actives. So anyways, David, what do you see happening later this month? What are you excited about looking forward?
First, I want to comment on what you said, the groups that are succeeding, what they're doing. And I think that's a key thing, that people are succeeding as groups, as they plug into groups and what they're doing. You don't have to do this all on your own and reinvent the wheel. The most successful people are part of successful groups. And it reminds me of, back in the day, don't really do this much anymore. I pay to have other people do it so I don't break my neck. But back in the day, I used to love to put up Christmas lights on my house. And all of you have had that experience where, the strand's not lighting up because there's one bulb that's out, right? And if you get that bulb plugged in, the entire strand glows. And I think that there's a real metaphor there for you and your groups. If you plug into the weekly US update calls, plug into the WhatsApp chats, plug into the daily and weekly Zoom calls and trainings that are on. If you feel like you don't know how to talk to somebody about something, listen, you'll hear an experience by somebody else. I just saw something where Colleen just thanked someone, I can't remember who it was now, but on one of the WhatsApp chats about, I think maybe it's how Paige Gimbel presented something, and she said, oh, I never really looked at it that way before. I'm so grateful I was able to see that. Look for ways that, again, get you out of your comfort zone. I think on the US update calls, it always cracks me up to see Mary Porter. The only place that she can really get any peace and quiet in her house is in a certain bathroom. Mm-hmm. So that becomes her office. Well, you know what? It's great. She's plugging in. She's doing things that help her grow and help her business to grow. And she's a very influential leader. So as we look forward, there's some great scientific advisory board calls coming up and some videos coming out that you should stay tuned towards. We're also going to do our first virtual country meeting. Some of you, when we did a pre-launch in the US last year, were able to travel to Salt Lake City and participate in that ribbon cutting event. This will also be an historic event held towards the latter part of July. We have a date in mind. We're still clearing a few things to make sure that it's going to work out, but it's going to be exciting, and you're going to be able to participate in that no matter where you are. And it is going to be integrated and in a way that people can participate. We'll have participation from celebrities, from distributor leaders, from trainers, from advisory board members. It's going to be a cast of thousands, hopefully. and I'm very excited to have that happen, because I think that, again, that's a new normal. That's something we've talked about doing back way before the pandemic, but we wondered how it would be received. Now that people have to do it, now that they're used to Zooming and streaming things, it just makes it so much easier for us to do this, and really gives us flexibility to do some things from a training and entertainment and an inspirational standpoint that, as great as it is to gather together, there's also some flexibility and opportunities that arise for us to do it that way as well. And I think that's really what I want to really key in upon, and I'll close with, is that, every I was telling Ryan this before this meeting started. Some of you know that I speak Japanese, not as well as I'd like to, but I muddle along. And you might know that the Japanese borrowed the Chinese characters to write with. But the character for fear and crisis is very similar, just one stroke difference from the character for opportunity. And I think if you think about, we're only, in this world of a crisis, this pandemic, there were only one stroke, and it's a stroke that you can render by virtue of lifting out. The stroke that you make to make it an opportunity might simply be the stroke of pushing the button on your phone or your laptop to join a Zoom meeting. It might be the stroke of simply pushing on your app and sharing a video or something with someone, and getting out of your comfort zone and not worrying so much about how somebody's going to feel if you offer them an opportunity to learn about genomics or Link or OptumEnd or a business opportunity. And maybe worry a little bit more about what they're going to say 4 years from now, saying, why didn't you tell me about this wonderful product? Why didn't you tell me about this wonderful opportunity? And I think back on those that have felt like, oh, I've tried over and over again, and I've never really been able to achieve the success that I like. I've been reading recently more history about Abraham Lincoln, and we view him as one of the greatest leaders in not just U.S. history, but world history. And but we forget, or maybe we never knew, that Abraham Lincoln lost 8 elections. The only election he ever won was actually to become president. He failed in business 2 times. He suffered a traumatic nervous breakdown. We only think about his success, but then we think about how, despite what was not a stereotypical background of success, qualifying him to become a great leader during a time of tremendous turmoil and crisis in the United States, he never, in many respects, maybe those difficulties and overcoming those things were exactly the things that forged his character in the fires of crisis to make him the type of leader that he became. And I think the same thing, we're seeing that. We're seeing it right now. We're seeing people having to go through a lot of stress, whether that be financial worry about losing jobs or time at work, whether it be the stress that comes from having kids around all the time and trying to do a job. There's different kinds of stress, but by managing it and having little victories every single day and saying, I am going to reach out, I am going to do that, and then checking the box. I'm not always a big check the box guy, but in terms of making goals for yourself and daily assignments, I'm a big check the box guy. And so I really recommend that if you don't do anything else, if you don't remember anything out of this call, remember to do 2 things. Number 1, take the products. You need it. Your family needs it. You'll notice a real difference in your life. Number 2, plug into the meetings and the trainings and things that are available. And if you do those 2 things, I'll actually guarantee that you'll have success. You'll have success from a health standpoint, and your business and your relationships will get better as well. So that's all for me today, Ryan. Back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, David. I have just 2 final thoughts, and one related to what you're just talking about taking the products, right, every single day. I received a notification from a friend who sent me a report that was published in Chile talking about the impact that caring for our microbiome has in helping mitigate some of the problems and complications associated with COVID-19. Now, we obviously can't make product claims, but it is very, very interesting to see a lot of the results that we're getting that many people using our products are having, not just as it relates to combating COVID, but just other conditions and wellness and improving their wellness. I'm just looking at the article right now. If I would encourage you guys to look at it, but it's all about the impact of our microbiome. And it wasn't more than 30 minutes ago before we started this founders call that I was on a call with a group of doctors, actually from Bolivia, of all places, that are using our products in working with patients. And obviously we know that our products are not just for doctors to use with patients, but they're for everybody, for just daily maintenance. and promoting overall wellness and health. But we have got something very, very special with these technologies, with these products. These are the latest in biotech developments in epigenetic health and wellness. So make sure that you're using these products. And if you don't have a personal testimonial, you'll get one, right? And it's fun to even listen to what other people are seeing in their lives. So I can't underscore that enough, the importance of that, really becoming passionate about our products. You know, I don't want to go too far on that point, but just in my own, for those of you who don't know me, who might be watching this Zoom for the first time, each of us have our own stories with these products. And for me personally, I feel incredibly blessed to be using these products every day, not just me, but with my whole family, and have seen very specific benefits associated with using these products. The last thing that I wanted to share before we close, and thank you for watching this Zoom, is Father's Day. We're in the month of June, and Father's Day is coming up. A lot of people say, well, what are we doing for fathers? And you know, Father's Day isn't quite like Mother's Day, where we got to make sure we do everything just right for Mother's Day and prepare well in advance for all the moms in our life. Sometimes, and maybe I'm speaking for myself, fathers take a back seat to mothers. Or at least they should probably, but you know, I think the most important thing that someone can do while they're alive on this earth, if you're a man, is to learn to be a good dad. Whether or not you have children, I think you can learn to be a good dad and learn to be a good father. There's a lot of principles associated with that I think are really, really important. And again, whether or not you have children, everybody can become can gain the attributes of being a good dad. So what we're going to do for all the dads out there and people that have fathers, know someone that's a dad or know a dad, obviously that's everybody. We are adding one of our toners, which is great for shaving. It's great for putting on your head if you've got the kind of head like David and I both share, which is a very streamlined, it's kind of the cutting edge of heads, if you will. But you know what? Toner goes great with these kinds of domes like the ones that we have. But men that shave, and I think that I'm shaving impaired, where David looks like he's got a razor around his house. But toner, the Amora toner is incredible. It's an incredible gift. So we're going to add one of these for free with any order of 200 PV or more. So whether that's a new enrollment kit or whether that's simply reordering product in the month, whenever you order $200 in product, 200 PV, we're going to throw in a free toner. So we're going to do that for the balance of this month on all 200 PV or more orders for Father's Day. So you're going to see a lot of Father's Day ads coming out from us and promos that will give you the details, but we hope that you take advantage of that. And, you know, in closing and talking about dads, you know, David and I we talk about this a lot. We talk about this with the company and the leaders of the company that, yes, we sell great products, right? As a company, we're bringing some of the most cutting edge products into the marketplace. But we're doing it through an omni-channel approach where the individual distributor, right, the individual entrepreneur is right at the center of this. And that means that this is about people. It means it's about working with people because they go and they talk to people, right? You all talk to people and you talk to customers, and we share stories, you know, that excite people to want to try these products. So at the end of the day, what we realize is that we're not really in the business of selling products, but in moving people and helping people become a better version of who they could become. And I will just say that, you know, for this month of June, one thing that we're going to work really hard at doing is becoming better versions of who we are in all aspects, not just in our corporate roles, not just in your roles as independent contractors, entrepreneurs, distributors, but also as moms, as dads, as brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters. And something that I thought of, actually, it was given to me. It's a quote from one of my favorite comedians, Mike Myers, who in the 90s had quite the influence on me in my life. But he said, anyone who tells you that fatherhood is the greatest thing that can happen to you is greatly understating it. It really is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. being a father, and has changed me dramatically, and it's helping me become a better version of myself. So that's going to be sort of my challenge to myself, and my mantra for me is becoming a better dad. I would challenge all of you to take the opportunity with the balance of this month to not only set goals for yourself with your business, but a personal goal. What are you going to do different? What are you going to do to really take another big step closer to becoming a better version of who you are? So on behalf of Actives and for my family, I wish you all the success in the world. Know that we think about you every day. Our plans have you in mind. And David, I'm going to give you the last word, because I know that you probably have something that you would like to close with too. But we'll see you all at the top real soon. Make sure you don't miss any corporate Zooms. You're on all of them. Lead by example, and we'll see you in July. David, I'll give you the last word.
Thanks, Ryan. Well, June is not only a great month because it's Father's Day, but it's also the month of my anniversary. In fact, this month, in just a week, we will have our 35th anniversary, which is really weird because I'm only 40. And the laws were different back then. But as a consequence, I was able to become a father. And as you just so eloquently said, there's nothing greater. And what's really interesting is that fathers prepare the way, and they're supposed to be leaned upon and be the strong ones, right? Although, frankly, women are stronger than men any day of the week. But I think that, all of us, I really like the way you put it, whether it be an actual father or a father figure or a mother figure for that matter, the only legacy that we truly can leave in life is the impact we have upon others, for better or for worse. And one of the things I love about this industry, love about this particular company and the people that I work with, is not only the ability, but the desire and the demonstration of really making a difference in other people's lives. And that's the bottom line. That's why we're in this, is to make a difference in people's lives, in their health, in their ability to carry on and succeed and not just survive, but to thrive. You've heard me say it before, that I don't know how long my lifespan is going to be, and I don't think I can probably control it. But to the degree that I can, I want my health span, I want my family span, I want my love span, whatever you want to call those things, to be as vibrant and robust as they can. And those are things that we can control. And that's what we're all in this together. I shared this with the U.S. leaders this week, but I grew up on a ranch. And I spent a lot of time in the fields working as a kid and hauling hay and doing things. I actually quite liked it. Never really, it wasn't always fun, but I enjoyed being out in nature, and I enjoyed hard physical work. But I received a letter when I was at Cornell Law School from my dad, who said, "Did you ever imagine yourself being able to go to an Ivy League law school while you were working in the fields as a kid?" And my response to him was, "Of course I did. You always told me that I could. You told me I could do anything that I put my mind to." And then I asked him a question somewhat jokingly. I said, "Were you lying to me all this time? That was it just a way to get me to work harder?" And of course it wasn't. I was very blessed to have a father that believed in me and transmitted that belief to me, even when I didn't always believe in myself. And that's another product, even more, as great as Genomics is, as great as Link, Optimin, and Amora, as great as the compensation plan, if you can give faith and belief and support to another person and a smile, that's the greatest gift that we can really give them, is love, kindness, and consideration. And that's what being a father, a mother, or frankly, just a good person is all about. So I'm grateful that all of you, to my knowledge, check all of those boxes. And it's what makes Active such a wonderful community and wonderful family. So thank you very much. Thank you, Ryan. I know from firsthand experience that you're a wonderful father and a wonderful husband. So good job. You're a great example to all of us. And I look forward to talking to you all again soon.
Great. Thank you, David. We'll see you all in July. Have a wonderful day.